the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron to put the 7 lamps in the place I showed you. These lamps will light the area in front of the lampstand." Aaron did this. He put the lamps in the right place so that they lighted the area in front of the lampstand. He obeyed the command that the Lord gave Moses. This is how the lampstand was made. It was made from hammered gold, all the way from the gold base at the bottom to the gold flowers at the top. It looked just like the pattern that the Lord had shown to Moses. The Lord said to Moses, "Separate the Levites from the other Israelites. Make these Levites clean. This is what you should do to make them clean. Sprinkle the special water from the sin offering on them. This water will make them clean. Then they must shave their bodies and wash their clothes. This will make their bodies clean. They must take a young bull and the grain offering that must be offered with it. This grain offering will be flour mixed with oil. Then take another young bull for a sin offering. Bring the Levites to the area in front of the meeting tent. Then bring all the Israelites together at that place. Bring the Levites before the Lord. The Israelites will put their hands on them. Aaron will give the Levites to the Lord as an offering from the Israelites. Then the Levites will be ready to do their special work for the Lord. Tell the Levites to put their hands on the heads of the bulls. One bull will be a sin offering, and the other bull will be used as a burnt offering to the Lord. These offerings will make the Levites pure. Tell the Levites to stand in front of Aaron and his sons. Then give the Levites to the Lord. They will be like an offering. This will make the Levites holy. They will be different from the other Israelites. The Levites will belong to me. So make the Levites pure and give them to the Lord as a special offering. After you do this, they can come and do their work at the meeting tent. The Israelites will give me the Levites. They will belong to me. In the past I told every Israelite family to give me their firstborn son. But now I am taking the Levites in place of these firstborn sons from the other families in Israel. Every firstborn in Israel, man or animal, is mine, because I killed all the firstborn children and animals in Egypt, and I chose to take the firstborn sons to belong to me. But now I will take the Levites in their place. I will take the Levites in place of all the firstborn sons from the other families in Israel. I chose the Levites from among all the Israelites, and I give them as gifts to Aaron and his sons. I want them to do the work in the meeting tent. They will serve for all the Israelites. They will help make the sacrifices that make the Israelites pure. Then no great sickness or trouble will come to the Israelites when they come near the holy place." So Moses and Aaron and all the Israelites obeyed the Lord. They did with the Levites everything that the Lord commanded Moses. The Levites washed themselves and their clothes. Then Aaron gave them to the Lord as special offerings. Aaron gave the offerings that covered their sins and made them pure. After that, the Levites came to the meeting tent to do their work. Aaron and his sons watched them. They were responsible for the work of the Levites. Aaron and his sons did what the Lord commanded Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "This is a special command for the Levites. Every Levite man who is 25 years old or older must come and share in the work at the meeting tent. But when a man is 50 years old, he will retire from his hard work. Men who are at least 50 years old will be on duty to help their brothers, but they will not do the work themselves. That is what you must do for the Levites so that they can do their duty." The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai. This was during the first month of the 2nd year after the Israelites came out of Egypt. He said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to celebrate Passover at the chosen time. They must eat the Passover meal just before dark on the 14th day of this month. They must do this at the chosen time, and they must follow all the rules about Passover." So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate Passover. The people did this in the desert of Sinai just before dark on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses. But some of the people could not celebrate Passover that day. They were unclean because they had touched a dead body. So they went to Moses and Aaron that day, and said to Moses, "We touched a dead body and became unclean. But why must we be kept from offering our gifts to the Lord at the chosen time with the rest of the Israelites?" Moses said to them, "I will ask the Lord what he says about this." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites this. It might happen sometimes that you or your descendants cannot celebrate the Lord's Passover at the right time. Someone might be unclean because they touched a dead body, or they might be away on a trip. They will still be able to celebrate Passover at another time. They must celebrate Passover just before dark on the 14th day of the second month. At that time they must eat the lamb, the bread made without yeast, and the bitter herbs. They must not leave any of that food until the next morning. And they must not break any of the bones of the lamb. They must follow all the rules about Passover. But anyone who is able must celebrate Passover at the right time. If they are clean and they are not away on a trip, there is no excuse for them not to do it. If they don't celebrate Passover at the right time, they must be separated from their people. They are guilty and must be punished, because they did not give the Lord his gift at the right time. A foreigner living among you might want to share in the Lord's Passover with you. This is allowed, but that person must follow all the rules about Passover. The same rules are for everyone." So the Lord called out to Moses from inside the meeting tent and said, "Tell the Israelites, when you bring an offering to the Lord, the offering must be one of your tame animals. It can be a sheep, a goat, or one of your cattle. If you offer one of your cattle as a burnt offering, it must be a bull that has nothing wrong with it. You must take the animal to the entrance of the meeting tent, where the Lord will accept the offering. You must put your hand on the animal's head while it is being killed, so the Lord will accept it as your burnt offering to make you pure. You must kill the young bull in front of the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will bring the blood to the altar that is near the entrance of the meeting tent. He will splash the blood on all four sides of the altar. You must remove the skin from that animal and then cut the animal into pieces. Aaron's sons, the priests, will put the fire on the altar and arrange the wood on the fire. They will lay the pieces of the animal, including the head and fat, on top of the burning wood. You must wash the legs and the inner parts of the animal with water. Then the priest will bring all these parts to the altar to be offered as a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. If you offer a sheep or a goat as a burnt offering, it must be a male that has nothing wrong with it. You must kill the animal on the north side of the altar in front of the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will splash the animal's blood on all four sides of the altar. You must cut the animal into pieces and remove the head and the fat. The priest will then lay them on the wood that is on the fire of the altar. You must wash the legs and the inner parts of the animal with water. Then the priest will bring all these parts to the altar to be offered as a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. If you offer a bird as a burnt offering to the Lord, that bird must be a dove or a young pigeon. The priest will bring the offering to the altar. There the priest will remove the bird's head, drain out the blood on the side of the altar, and burn the bird on the altar. He will remove the bird's tail and inner parts and throw them into the pile of ashes east of the altar. Then the priest will tear the bird open by its wings, but he must not divide it completely into two parts. So he will bring the bird to the altar to be offered as a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. When you give a grain offering to the Lord, your offering must be made from fine flour. You must pour oil on this flour and put frankincense on it. Then you must bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests. One of them will take a handful of the fine flour with oil and frankincense in it. He will bring this part, which represents the whole grain offering, to the altar. There it will be burned up as a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. The rest of that grain offering will belong to Aaron and his sons. This gift to the Lord is very holy. If you give a grain offering that was baked in the oven, it must be unleavened bread made from fine flour mixed with oil, or it must be wafers with oil poured over them. If you bring a grain offering cooked in a baking pan, it must be made from fine flour without yeast and mixed with oil. You must break it into pieces and pour oil over it. It is a grain offering. If you bring a grain offering cooked in a frying pan, it must be made with fine flour mixed with oil. When you bring grain offerings made from these things to the Lord, you must give them to the priest, and he will take them to the altar. Then the priest will take part of the grain offering and lift it up as a memorial offering. He will bring it to the altar to be burned up as a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. The rest of that grain offering will belong to Aaron and his sons. This gift to the Lord is very holy. You must not give any grain offering to the Lord that has yeast in it. You must not burn yeast or honey as a gift to the Lord. You may bring yeast and honey to the Lord as an offering from the first harvest, but they must not be put on the altar to be burned as a sweet smell. Also, you must put salt on every grain offering you bring. You must not forget to add salt, because it represents God's agreement with you. Always put salt on these offerings. If you bring a grain offering from the first harvest to the Lord, you must bring roasted heads of grain. They must be crushed heads of fresh grain. This will be your grain offering from the first harvest. You must put oil and frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. The priest must burn part of the crushed grain, the oil, and all the frankincense on it as a memorial offering. It is a gift to the Lord. If you offer one of your cattle as a fellowship offering, it can be a bull or a cow, but the animal you offer to the Lord must have nothing wrong with it. You must put your hand on the animal's head and kill the animal at the entrance of the meeting tent. Then Aaron's sons, the priest, will splash the blood on all four sides of the altar. The priest will take a part of that fellowship offering as a gift to the Lord. He will take the fat that is over and around the inner parts. He will take the 2 kidneys and the fat covering them near the lower back muscle. He will also remove the fat part of the liver that is near the kidneys. Then Aaron's sons will bring the fat to the altar and put it on the burnt offering that is on the wood on the fire. It is a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. If you offer a sheep or a goat as a fellowship offering to the Lord, whether it is a male or a female, it must have nothing wrong with it. If you bring a lamb as an offering to the Lord, you must put your hand on the animal's head and kill it in front of the meeting tent. Then Aaron's sons will splash the animal's blood on all four sides of the altar. The priest will take part of the fellowship offering to the altar as a gift to the Lord. The priest must cut off the tail close to the backbone. Then he will offer the tail with all of its fat, and the fat that is over and around the animal's inner parts. He will also offer the 2 kidneys, and the fat covering them near the lower back muscles. He will also offer the fat part of the liver. He must remove it with the kidneys. Then the priest will take that part to the altar to be burned up as food, a gift to the Lord. If the offering is a goat, you must bring it before the Lord. You must put your hand on the goat's head and kill it in front of the meeting tent. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, must splash the goat's blood on all four sides of the altar. The priest will give part of the fellowship offering as a gift to the Lord. He will offer the fat that is over and around the animal's inner parts. He will offer the 2 kidneys and the fat covering them near the lower back muscle. He will also offer the fat part of the liver. He will remove it with the kidneys. Then the priest will bring that food as a sweet-smelling gift to the Lord. The fat belongs to the Lord. This rule will continue forever through all your generations. Wherever you live, you must never eat fat or blood.